In this episode, we're going to take a look at what's called the Navigator in Capture and how to select and manipulate objects in the design. I've got a blank new project open, and I'm going to start with adding a box from the library. Before we continue, I would like to mention the white cloud icon in the view. This represents the smoke or atmosphere in the design and is important when visualizing lighting. For the purpose of this episode though, I'm going to hide it by unchecking the widgets option in the view menu. Now let's take a look at the selected box. You can see that the box is surrounded by a red region. It has 4 buttons underneath and a triangle. We can click anywhere inside this red region and move the mouse in order to move the selected object. The triangle serves as a rotation tool and can be used to rotate the selected objects. You can also reposition the triangle by clicking and dragging it into different positions. This defines the center of the rotation and allows us to rotate the objects around any point. At the bottom of the selection, we have 4 buttons as well. The first, the selection menu, contains methods for manipulating which objects are selected. The second, action menu, contains options and methods to manipulate the selected object. The third button is the drag and drop button and can be used to drag the objects into different locations. And finally, the fourth button reveals a quick summary of the object selected. Let's take a look at the third button, the drag and drop button. Let's use it to create a quick copy of the box so that we have 3 boxes in the design. Now we can explore the multi-selection features. By holding the Shift key of the keyboard, I can add objects to the selection. And by holding the Control key on the keyboard, I can toggle objects to and from being selected like this. You may notice that when I have multiple objects selected, the corners of the selection rectangle have a slightly different look. The reason for this is that you can grab them to redistribute the objects that you've selected. Speaking of distribution, there are 2 useful functions in the modification menu, which are called Align and Spread Even. The Align action reveals this choice of 6 different types of alignment. I'm going to use the horizontal center alignment to align them all horizontally. Next, I'm going to use the Spread Even function to spread the boxes evenly in a horizontal fashion. Now let's talk about the green part of the Navigator at the bottom right corner of the view. The first button here is a rotation button, which allows us to rotate the view. You can see the cube illustration in the Navigator helps us understand the orientation of the view. The second button allows us to zoom the view. And finally, the third button contains the options available for this view. Here, for instance, you can find shortcuts for swinging the camera into a top, front, or section position. The view also snaps into the top, front, and section positions as you rotate the view. As an option to using the buttons in the bottom right corner, you can also use the middle mouse button of your mouse, obviously, to rotate the view. If you hold the Shift key while rotating, this turns into a free flight mode or a panoration mode. And when you are zooming with the mouse, the zoom takes into account the position of the mouse, whereas if you zoom with the button of the Navigator, it always zooms in and out of the center of the view. That's it for this time, and stay tuned for the next episode.